Episode 114 of Australia's #1 marketing show. Listen in as I have a fireside chat with the creator and star of Will It Blend, the most viral video marketing series ever. From day one, it increased sales by a massive 1,000%.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
Welcome back everyone to Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You are a motivated small business owner who wants to grow their business through some very clever marketing, and that is why we're here. And we are brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry who, speaking of very clever marketing, if you want to get your business found online, if you want to improve your website, if you want to get an AdWords campaign, if you want to do anything around online marketing, then go over to Net Registry and have a look at what they have to offer. There's a banner at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com on the right-hand side. If you click on that, you will be taken to 3 exclusive listener packages that, depending on your level of competency around the online marketing area, there'll be one there for you. That is Net Registry. Hey guys, rubbing my hands together. Can you hear that? This is a big episode. I have managed to get a guy who I've been following for a long time. I've admired his work for many, many months, probably years. His name is Tom Dickson. He is the CEO of Blendtec, and he is the star of Will It Blend, the video marketing phenomenon. Hello, this is a guy who puts out a video and gets like 1 million, 2 million views in the matter of 1-2 days. You know, incredible stuff. That to come. Before we launch into that interview, the Deep Dive Mastermind, guys, it is going along at a cracking pace, and I've had a few listeners email me and send me voicemail messages asking for an update on what's going on in the mastermind, and, you know, for whatever reason they weren't able to do it at the time I launched. I will be launching another one in the new year. My Deep Dive Mastermind is exactly that, guys. It's myself and another currently 9 small business owners. So there is one seat left. We sit around a virtual table every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Melbourne time in Australia, and we belt through our marketing challenges and issues. I host it, I answer the questions, and the rest of the mastermind also puts their 2 bobs worth in as we go around the virtual table and each person asks a marketing question of me. And some of the things we've discussed, amazing. We have covered some serious marketing ground. It's like an intense version of this show, but it's actually exclusively for those who are sitting around the webinar with me. We've covered message creation. We have covered how to build a really strong brand and what's involved there. In fact, we're going through the various pillars that you need to understand of your business in order to build that emotional engagement with your customers, your best mates, as I call them. We've talked about getting the brief right. I've helped one mastermind member absolutely nail a brief because he wasn't happy with his logo, and we have completely changed that around, and now he's got a fantastic logo as a result of getting the brief right. We've talked about overcoming fear, particularly on your website. You know, I think often we forget that for every purchase decision, there is an element of fear involved, and we need to understand what our prospects are fearing and how we can help them overcome that in order for them to hand over their dough to us. So we've talked about that, given some strategies away on how to do that. We've talked about packaging up for value, so putting together packages that offer real value to your customers. We've talked about ways of using video marketing, you know, all sorts of different ways of using video marketing and creating those videos inexpensively. We've talked about optimizing each of the members' websites for conversions. Every member's got a website. Some of the members of my Deep Dive Mastermind are online businesses. Others are bricks and mortar businesses. We had one member last week share exactly how he has developed this incredible emotional engagement in his online paint business, his offline bricks and mortar paint business, which was absolutely fantastic. So it's called Deep Dive Mastermind for a reason, because we really do deep dive into many, many aspects of marketing. And it's just my way of sitting with a group of motivated business owners one-on-one or round of this virtual table via webinar and really getting some clarity on marketing, and it's action-oriented. So guys, look, if you're interested, I'll put a link in the show notes on episode 114 of smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Or you can go to deepdivemastermind.com and leave your name on a waiting list. Love to see you on the next one. Now, Tom Dickson. Okay, so if you've never seen what he does, it's amazing. He started a company called Blendtec, right? It sells really good, world's best blenders, kitchen blenders, commercial blenders. You'll find them in Boost Juice shops and, juicing shops in Australia, and they're all around the world. American company, fully manufactured in America, quite amazing. And Tom started a few years ago a video series called Will It Blend, where it is extreme product demonstration, guys. You know that saying, don't tell me you're funny, tell me a joke? Well, Tom takes that saying to a new level. He walks the talk. This is extreme product demonstration where he takes something and blends it in his blender. Could be an iPad, could be an iPhone, could be a brick, could be a hockey puck, could be corn chips with a whole lot of Bic lighters, huh? Figure that one out. I'll put a link in the show notes again to a couple of these example videos that Tom's done. It's hilarious, but it's also a brilliant, brilliant way of marketing. Tom was so kind to give me about 40 minutes of his time where we go behind the scenes of Will It Blend and talk about the whole Blendtec company and where it came from, where the idea came from, where it's going. This is a big interview. Sit back, pen and paper at the ready, guys. Enjoy it. Here's Tom. Tom Dickson, CEO of Blendtec, star of Will It Blend. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
Tom, I need to start with the very big question. Will it blend?
Just about everything will blend.
I love that. I'm sure. I almost believe you, but we'll come to that. Tom, this, as I said to you, this show is listened to by small business owners around the world who are interested in doing great marketing. You're doing great marketing. In preparing my interview questions, I can't help but think your phone's ringing.
Thanks. Yeah, that's one of the phones I haven't blended yet. Yeah, that's an iPhone 5. But
get that in the blender right now. No, I reckon there's two conversations here. There's the fun one and there's the serious one. The fun one is about Will It Blend. The serious one is about the whole Blendtec, how Blendtec came to be. I'm going to give you the choice. Which one would you like to blend first?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Okay. All right. Well, let's. I know how much our listeners want to learn about Will It Blend, so I'm going to do that second. Now, Tom, Blendtec is your company. How did Blendtec come to be? I understand it involved a vacuum and some wheat.
Wow, that's going way back. Yes. In fact, and I can go back before that if you wish.
Go.
Anyhow, well, I actually started in pharmaceuticals, and I made the first motion sickness patch, the scopolamine patch. For Alza Pharmaceuticals in 1971 and in March of 71. And so that was the first patch anyone ever made. And then I got off into, and also the only intrauterine device that's been on the market for the last almost 40 years, when the Tatum T, Copper 7, Dalcon Shield, all those other devices were taken off the market. The only one that stayed on was the Progesticert, and that's because it had progesterone in it. So a day and a half's worth of oral hormone lasted for 2 years in the uterus. So anyhow, I started in pharmaceuticals, and then I ran some wheat through my wife's vacuum cleaner, and I was starting a wheat packaging company on the side, ran the wheat through a vacuum cleaner, blew it out into a pillowcase, and it came out all broken up, which is not what I wanted, but I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. If I could make a wheat grinder, a wheat mill with a $10 motor instead of a $150 motor, that would be a major breakthrough in turning wheat and other grains into flour. And so then my heart was involved and I ran it through a dozen times, and every time it went through the vacuum cleaner, it got finer and dirtier, but finer.
Yeah.
And I thought, so that led to the development of the kitchen mill with a non-contact, cool running 28,000 RPM vacuum cleaner motor. And I've sold over $50 million worth of those over the years.
So Tom, you're by trade an engineer who just loved to tinker and every now and then came across something that you thought would change the world.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, always doing crazy things and always putting big engines and in little cars and like a Corvette engine and an Austin Healey and I probably built the first shifter cart back in the 60s with a Honda Twin 250 Twin 350 kit on a go-kart with a 4-speed. So
it's a really interesting dichotomy because you're the kind of this engineering guy, this inventor, you're now a CEO, you're clearly a marketer, and you've got these acting abilities. So that's an interesting dichotomy. Do you find that hard to manage, or do you slip into each persona easily, or is it always Tom Dickson?
It's always Tom Dickson.
It's always Tom Dickson.
Well, I'm ADHD and I'm dyslexic. So going through school, I could hardly read. And to this day, I have trouble. I mean, I can read backwards as well as forward. And it's just, I got a goofy mind. And, but I'm just, I get off the subject very easily.
Well, okay, well, that's my job to keep you on the subject. Tell me, ADHD, when were you diagnosed with that? When were you labelled with that?
Well, I didn't have the label until recently. And, of course, having 35 grandchildren and 11 children, I can see it manifest itself in some of my kids. And I learn more watching them, and I can diagnose it in them faster. Go ahead.
Did it change anything for you? Did it matter?
Oh, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's an absolute blessing because I think of things and I see things like nobody in the world sees things.
Give me an example.
Just looking at a problem or looking at a drawing or looking at, I have vision. I'm way outside the box in my thinking. And so I come up with ideas and things that nobody else really, and even with my engineers, and we have 30 engineers. And so, but I'll explain something and they kind of all scratch their head like, what are you talking about? And I'll draw it up. I'll draw it on a whiteboard, and then they'll roll that whiteboard into the engineering department, and they'll start going through it. They write on a big on a desk that's all glass on the top, and they'll start coming up with ideas, and then they'll improve the ideas that I have, and they'll understand it. And sometimes I actually have to go and build it and demonstrate it, and then now we understand. So I just see things other people don't see.
There's a certain type of person that you need following you with a big broom, and just to understand, where's Tom coming from, in order to, almost like a translator.
Yes, exactly.
and is that person someone you've had with you for a long time? Do you have lots of them? Is it a really important criteria for employing people at Blendtec?
No, fortunately, we got to have people different than I. No, I think that Dick Galbraith, who has a PhD in psychology, who's looking in my door right now. I just walked up, and he's got in his hand a piece of paper and rolled up, and he's looking through the door, looking at me like, who are you talking to? So he's a professor, university professor, and teaches memory and so on at the university level in psychology. But he understands me very well, and I've known him. We used to ride motorcycles together, Triumph motorcycles together when we were in high school, and I used to race motorcycles. So that's how I grew up, and he kind of followed me, and he's been with me ever since. So he's kind of he understands me well, and he kicks me under the table if I say something too bad.
Tom, Blendtec is born. Can you wrap for our listeners, just to put some numbers around the Blendtec business today, so we know what we're talking about? Sort of turnover, number of staff, product range. Give us a sense of quantity. Okay,
we have 300 employees. We're on 8 acres and 270,000 square feet. And so we have a lot of space. We're 90%, our blenders and our dispensers and so on, 90% made here in the USA. And even with the help of our Aussie friends, we were able to perfect that board. And now we build it in the most automated circuit board factory in the world, right in our building. And so same with motors, and we do our own injection molding. So we do as much as we can here in the USA.
Made in the USA as a statement, as a marketing statement, is really important to the Blendtec brand. Kind of an obvious question, but why?
Well, I think that number one is the quality. Nobody has a higher quality blender or appliance than we do. And of course, no other blender will do the crazy things I do, and that is Willet blends. I mean, there's a blender. They're all designed to break, at a coupling or a socket, clutch. And we just kept making the blender tougher and tougher so it wouldn't break. And you'll see it in Australia in some of your smoothie shops and coffee shops and scoop shops, because it's indestructible. And so that's and that helps to be made in the USA, because we can, and made in our own building, because we can control everything. The hardness of the sockets are as hard as ball bearings, and everybody else is made out of plastic. And motors and our jars, we mold. We go all the way from, we have 4 silos that hold 100,000 pounds of resin each, and we go right from there into dryers, right into injection molding machines, and nobody even touches our jar all the way through printing. So this is done ball bearings and the American-made blade and everything else.
I can't help but think, clearly the savings of getting it done, and I'm no manufacturing guy, Tom, so, pull me up here, but all I know is that Apple design in California and make and manufacture in China. And from what I hear, the quality of what's coming out of China these days is pretty damn high. I'm guessing that the cost savings would also be high if you went to China or a similar country. So obviously those cost savings don't outweigh having it in your own backyard.
Well, actually, we can build a jar and most of our blender, we can build the entire blender, the whole assembly jar and everything, for less money than we can build it in China.
Wow.
It's a very small labor component, because we're going to be building jars and blenders forever, so we can afford to automate. Where the Chinese, and in the past we've done things in China, but we find that we can produce product much higher quality than or Mexico, and can also do it for less money. And so that's what we do. We automate. I'm an engineer, like I say, with 30 engineers. We figure out how to automate things. We have robots. We have the highest quality of any appliance in the world, right?
Tom, there must have been a point in time where you thought, this is getting big. This is turning into a hugely successful company. Can you remember that moment?
No, I guess when the Willet Blend thing hit and our sales went up 1,000%, I think maybe that was a kind of a tipping point.
Wow. So, from the first time you posted a Willet Blend video?
Yeah, I think then I really realized after the week, and that was kind of I didn't understand that. That was 7 years ago in October, and my marketing guy came to me and said, hey, and he was new. And see, we don't put money into marketing. We put our money into manufacturing and engineering. And so, and that's the problem. I thought that if we're in Starbucks and Jamba and all these major outfits all over the world, these venues, that people would see our products demonstrated and know that they're the most reliable ones in the world. It'd be the path to our door to buy product for their home. And that wasn't quite true. But we kept building better and better equipment, and people really weren't aware of it. And then I finally hired a marketing guy, George Wright, and he came to me and said, hey, he saw me blending some 2x2s or whatever, trying to break the blender. And so he said, and he's asking someone, what's he doing anyway? And so he came to me and said, what's my budget? And I said, you're the budget. He said, how about $50? And so I said, okay. So he bought a rotisserie chicken, a 6-pack of Coke, and some marbles and a rake handle and a bunch of stuff. And he said, hey, let me video, with a handheld camera, let me video you blending some of this stuff. So we we filmed some videos. And he came to me about 5 days later and he said, "Hey, Tom, we hit a home run. We have 6 million views on YouTube."
6 days later?
Yeah, and 5 days later, and 6 million views. And he said, "Yeah, we hit a home run on YouTube." And I said, "Who-tube?" And it was. So now I know. Now I'm their oldest celebrity, I guess they call me.
Did the Wright fellow, amazingly, he was right. He lived up to his name. Did he seek permission to put those on YouTube? Because it's let's talk about Will It Blend. I have a few more questions about Blendtec, but hey, we'll come back to that because I know listeners are desperately wanting to hear about Will It Blend. And one of the things with Will It Blend, Tom, it's such a big idea. From a marketing point of view, it's a big idea. It's an obvious idea. It's also a very brave idea. Did the marketing fellow seek permission to put them on YouTube, or did he just go and do it?
Well, I think he did it initially just to show our own employees, which we probably had 100 of or so, 150 of at the time, just to show them how tough our blender was and just to document some of the things that we're doing in-house. And then I guess it dawned on him and a couple of other people, wow, let's put this up on this new venue, this new YouTube thing. And so anyhow, the rest is history. And, now we're the #1 viral marketing, according to Ad Age in the world. And there's, I think the 38th book just came out a marketing book that talks about the phenomenon that this thing really is and what it's done for our sales and so on.
Can you wrap some, Will It Blend listeners, for those who are kind of going, what are you talking about? Tom, Blendtec post videos on YouTube on a regular basis where Tom blends anything. Tom, you can kind of describe it better than me. Do you want to wrap some numbers around it? Tell us what you've blended.
Well, there's about 125 videos up, something like that, and we have about 500 million views, so 500 million views, both on YouTube, our own site, and other places. And so, and with those 125 videos, I've blended everything from, I think the most popular one has been the iPad, which has about 16 million views. An iPhone 3, I think, has 12 or 13 million views. Just recently, we did a Galaxy. I blended a Galaxy and an iPhone 5 together, which was kind of fun. And in a week, we had 5 million views on that. So we find that some of the more popular items, especially when you're comparing one with another, you get a lot more. You get a lot of, and some of them are pretty boring, but still, we'll get 100,000 views on those. And then we do. Occasionally, and our fans don't like this, but people like Coke and not Coke, but like Olympus and the camera folks and Nike and Ford and Fritos or Doritos and people like that will pay us a nice sum of money to feature their products. I mean, introducing a new Ford Fiesta, and things like that, and then. Sometimes our people really love it. Other times they say, wow, you've sold your soul. We can tell you're getting paid for this. And we're going to unsubscribe. But we have 500,000 subscribers. So every time we put a video up, 500,000 people, it goes right to their email.
What's your favorite one and why, Tom?
My favorite one is glow sticks.
Yeah, that was fun.
My wife shows up with these, and I said, I don't think so. What if we... Of course, she also showed up with a hockey pucks, and that was a. So I said, "There's no way I can blend those." But anyhow, the glow sticks are fun, and I think mainly if you watch the very end, where I blend them and I turn the lights off and I hold the jar up and I say, "Whoa, here's a 12-hour lantern," and then I go like I'm going to pour it down my throat, and my body turns into a skeleton, and my throat says, "Don't drink this," and so. That's my favorite one, and video guy came up with all that stuff.
Tom, I showed my sons Will It Blend on the weekend, and one of them, looked at me. He's 14 years old, and he said, "Dad, would that actually sell more blenders?" So, you know, the obvious, obviously it does, and clearly it's a massive awareness campaign. I mean, it's put you guys on the global map, not just of blenders, but of viral marketing and of a whole host of kind of different things. But how do you measure a will it blend video? And what is the kind of line between putting the video out and selling a blender?
You know, when we started, Tim, it was just these kids. You know, they're average maybe 16 years old or something like that. And now, of course, here we are. You know, now these kids are 23, but the whole demographic has shifted. So I have people approach me that are in their 40s that say, "Oh, you know, we show your videos to our kids." And so at first, what was the good thing that would happen is they'd walk into a store like a Costco or something where we're doing a demonstration. And the kids would say, "Hey, Mom, look at this," or "Dad, this is the Blendtec Total Blender. This guy, he blends iPhones. You know, this is so cool. It's the most powerful blender in the world," and on and on. And we found that about 1 out of 3 of those would actually buy the blenders because the parents trust the kids when it comes to techno stuff. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, it's gone. So it's, you know, went to the demographic average was like 26 and 36. And so now, you know, we have people that are much older that are realizing, wow, this got to be a tough blender to be able to, I mean, if it'll blend all this other junk, you know, it's sure going to blend our green smoothies and so on.
And it's your primary marketing strategy for Blendtec, is it?
It is. Yes, it is. And yeah, it just keeps going. And even in some of these stores, you know, we'll show Will It Blends. And it just happens to be a product that lends itself to destruction, to destroying things, and people like that.
Tom, where do you film them, and what's the average cost of an episode of
Will
It
Blend? We film them right in our well, it really cost us nothing because we've now grown to the point where you know, we have 2 full-time video people. And then we have people, a lot of times if we're doing a video for somebody else, they'll actually write the script and for us. And then we just, you know, it takes a couple hours to put one together. And then our producer does the editing, and we send it and go back and forth until we get it just right, put the music with it. But it's done right in our building. We're on our 2nd set, and in the next few weeks, we'll build our 3rd set. So there's plenty. It costs very little to do this, and in fact, we make money because we get quite a nice large sum of money. We can get views that nobody else can get, even the big folks.
So is there when you say get a large sum of money, you get the sales, but do you run Google AdWords or ads on the YouTube channel as well that generate an advertising revenue?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, we have a great crew. We put up a recipe every Thursday. We have bloggers. We have, you know, we have quite, if you get on our Facebook and Twitter and, you know, we're into Pinterest, you know, we keep up on all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So we've got some of these young people that are just unbelievable in understanding what gets people's attention. And so we have a lot of people that are tweeting about us, and we do, you know, I just gave away, I told about how Vitamix, our main competitor, stole 10 years ago, copied our wild side jar, which was they have always had to use a plunger to cram stuff down into their blade. Mm-hmm. And commercially, 9 years ago, I think it was, they copied our jar exactly. And so we won a $24.15 million judgment against them for willful infringement. And so I celebrated a few weeks ago by giving away $1 million worth of these jars to our customers. So the title of that Will It Blend is Silly Vitamix, and it's based on a Trix commercial here, a little kids commercial. But Silly Vitamix, plungers are for toilets. And then I turn around and I say, we don't need a plunger, and I blend a plunger, and then we gave away, and this went viral. In a couple of days, we gave away $1 million worth of jars. That's 100,000 jars when that went viral. So wow. We do things like that, and it gets people's attention. People are watching, on our website, and we just have a lot of fun. And these young guys put these things together.
Have you ever thought of blending a Vitamix jar?
It's a little big.
Okay. What hasn't blended, Tom? Hockey puck?
Oh, no, the hockey puck went just fine, but it sure smelled bad. That's one of the worst things I've ever smelled. It was not good. And we're doing, you'll see in the next few weeks, we're going to put up some more things where we're blending, showing how our competitors' products fail. And so that'll be fun, because people say, well, why don't you use another blender? And so you'll see why we don't use another blender, and I'll destroy several blenders in doing that. And then we'll also, the number one requested thing is blend another Blendtec blender.
When's that coming out?
Well, we might have a little surprise coming up in the next week or so, because
like that.
It is the end of the world, the Mayan calendar and all. So something special might go up on Will It Blend in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I like that one. Tom, what's it done for? What has Will It Blend done for Tom Dickson's personal brand? Clearly, it's put you on the map too. And what are some of the things that have kind of come your way as a result of being the star of Will It Blend?
Well, there's always invitations. I mean, we could be busy every single day, in public appearances. And my wife and I travel all over the world. And whether we're in Europe or China or South America or whatever, I mean, this year already we're in Antarctica and Chile and Brazil and everywhere in between. And then, of course, Australia and New Zealand, my favorite places, by the way.
Stop it.
And in fact, and unfortunately, my wife, when I was on a 90-mile beach on the west coast of New Zealand, and I was in a rental car. My wife wasn't with me the last time I was there, and I hit 200 kilometers an hour heading south with the wind behind me, and 180 kilometers an hour heading north on the 90-mile beach.
Wow.
But so I'm 66 years old. But and I just restored a Lotus, so I was on the Sebring racetrack in Florida, and then I have a shifter. I have go-karts that are very fast, and my kids are, we have motorcycles and four-wheelers, and so we have a lot of fun on motor. But anyhow,
it sounds it. Tom, tell me. Let's just get back to. Just love to finish up. Just a couple more questions about Blendtec. And listeners, I'm talking to Tom Dickson, by the way, who's CEO of Blendtec and the star of the WillItBlend.com video series, which is potentially world's best product demonstration series you'll ever see. Tom, you touched on innovation. I've previously interviewed Phil McKenney on this show, who's come up with this whole innovation concept called Killer Innovations, and Phil was previously the Vice President of Innovation at Hewlett-Packard. So I've got quite an interest in innovation. You talked about the glass top table that your engineers sit and scribble on, but what's the innovation process look like at Blendtec?
Well, anybody can come up with. We look for a need that a customer that the world might have, and then we try to solve that. But usually we're kind of ahead of the curve, and we sense things that people need. I mean, one of the latest things we did is a twister jar, and we call it, and in 40 to 50 seconds, you put any kind of nuts in it, almonds or cashews or whatever, and in 40 to 50 seconds, you have warm, smooth nut butter, and there's nothing else that can do that. And there's a real need for that, as well as hummus and things like that. So we just work with it and work we see a problem and we just solve the problem. Like the twister portion, you set it on the table, it could roll off on the floor. So we put little bumps on it so it doesn't roll. We just work together, and it's a very tight group. And we're doing an ESOP, which is where we're giving the company away. I'm giving the company away to the employees. And so eventually they will own it. And so they're very dedicated because they've got part interest in this company, every one of them.
Mm-hmm. So just tell me, so that innovation process, just going back to it, because it's interesting. So you identify problems. So first of all, you're listening to your customers. You clearly get a lot of email, post, phone calls. You're probably doing research groups. You've got an ear to the ground and identifying problems and issues customers have. Number one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. I mean, people say they want something easy to clean. I mean, time is of the essence. They want something fast.
Okay.
So our blenders are 3 peak horsepower. Nobody else is over 2 peak horsepower. And so we have a lot of power. We invented the first program blender, so it goes slow and speeds up. And you can see that on the Discovery Channel. Things have done articles on this. But we want to get the job done fast. We want to be able to clean things fast. And we've solved problems like, for example, people want a real decent smoothie in a store. And you look at what McDonald's is doing, and our Mega Blender 15 years ago is the first one that they used. And we wouldn't give them our technology. And so now there's 2 other companies that make the blenders that are in McDonald's. But meanwhile, 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, when we obsoleted that, 6 years ago, we obsoleted that technology that they wanted, and we built a self-serve dispenser. So it's right next to the pop machines. It makes its own pellet ice, and it blends a real smoothie right next to where the pop machines are. So those are things that we're so far ahead of anybody else. So we're always thinking, and it's in our blood. And
what's the process? Because I often find, talking to businesses, one of the problems with innovation is no one knows how to share an idea. I think what I find is everyone in businesses has ideas to varying degrees about that business, but often it's hard to share an idea. What's the sharing idea process like at Blendtec?
Well, just talking, just talking, and then having enough projects that you just noodle on something, you think about it, and people are always thinking, and then you get together again and talk about it and say, hey, look what I came up with. And you look at other people's products, and you just work together to solve it. And you do a whole bunch of prototypes, and you ask people's opinions, and you're just open with your communication. And, we're just a big family here, and we make things happen real fast. We just cut right to the chase. And a lot of people, I mean, everybody's got an idea. I get calls almost every day with people saying, hey, what do you think of this? And most ideas are pretty bad, or they don't have the, and of course, the whole process, coming up with the financing, coming up with the marketing. I mean, is there really a need? What's the potential market? And how profitable is this going to be? How much is it going to cost to make? And, just all of these questions. But there's so many ideas that are bad, and there's so many people are out there that are just preying on these people that think they have an idea, these inventor companies. Mm-hmm. And, they say, oh, yeah, we can take your product to market, and they're just going to take your money and go with it because it's a bad idea, and they're afraid to tell you that.
Many companies, when they get to the level of success, Tom, that Blendtec has tempted to brand extend, go into other areas that they're just not good at, but they've got enough money in the bank that they think, why don't we try something new? Have you been tempted to do that?
Yes, a lot, and it's really risky to get out of your comfort zone and to start some other ideas. You come across someone that's a real good salesperson, and they try to sell you on some idea. But yeah, you need to stick with what you're good at, and don't at the same time you gotta there's some peripheral things that might fit into what you're doing, but try not to jump all over the place and get off in the areas that you don't belong. You got to be very passionate about what you're doing. And beyond passionate, or you're never going to succeed. And you got to have help. You got to have friends. You got to have a wife, or at least some significant other that has a lot of interest in you, not going down the tubes.
What's the? It's a great story, Tom. What's the hardest thing you find about running Blendtec? The most challenging?
At this juncture, just communication, but I think that I've got so much help now that, entrepreneurs start out and they just want to keep going, and they become in most cases, they become they want to be the president, the CEO, and they just can't do it. They might be innovative, but they can't run a company. And so I think it's very important for people to realize when it's time to cut loose and find somebody that you can trust, to run the company. And so I've got so many people, that I can trust to run the company. I can take off from, for weeks and everything's going to be okay. Maybe the progress in engineering or development might not be quite as fast, but they got plenty to do when I'm not around. I cause so much trouble when I'm here.
So that's all about surrounding yourself with the good people, understanding what your strengths are and filling in the gaps.
Exactly. Well put, Tim.
You love it. And Tom, you also, I've read, you have very high levels of employee engagement, on par with much bigger companies from what I can tell. You have a plan to hand the business over holus bolus to the employees. That's good incentive. What else do you do to keep them in love with Blendtec?
Well, we're self-insured. We have our own doctor and nurse. We have a fitness center. We have 2 massage therapists that we charge our employees $10 for an hour massage. We have a fitness center with a trainer. We have all sorts of contests. We pay out a lot of money to those people who lose weight and quit smoking and other things that are and we have our own almost $1 million restaurant in-house with chefs and wonderful food, and we have a licensed therapist. When I say that, what am I saying?
Psychologists?
Dietitians.
Oh, yeah.
Psychologists, no. We try to help each other with our psychology. We got dietitians licensed on staff and just people trying to help. We're trying to be healthy. We're trying to lower our costs. I mean, we have by being self-insured. We're hiring a dentist and a hygienist.
Wow.
and a chiropractor. And so we just want everybody to be healthy and happy. And
it's a resort, not a workplace.
Well, yeah, people work hard. They want to. They have a lot of fun at the same time. We do a lot of things together as employees.
Tom, I'd just like to finish with saying, there is, I think in today's world, the opportunity to bring ideas, not only to come up with ideas, but to bring them to market quickly and easily. There's never been a better time. There's a lot of people out there. I know there's a lot of people listening, including myself, who have ideas every day and are entrepreneurial by nature. What's your advice to people like that?
Oh, just keep the passion, work hard, and you're right. This is the best time in the history of the earth to be entrepreneurial, to come up with ideas. There's always a better way to do everything. So find out what you like, and surround yourself with the very best people, and be honest. And that's one thing with this viral campaign. You can't do anything dishonest because it's out there forever. It'll ruin you. But in your relationship with your fellow men, you just have to be honest in everything you do.
Great advice. Tom Dickson, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Small Business Big Marketing. I was excited from the moment your guys said yes to you coming on. I really appreciate you spending the time and sharing that wisdom, because I know it's going to benefit a lot of our listeners and answer a lot of questions in their mind about so many aspects of marketing and being an entrepreneur. So thanks so much. Could you finish with a Small Business Big Marketing, will it blend?
Sure. And thank you. The pleasure's mine. And will it blend? That is the question.
Love it. Thanks so much, Tom. You're a gentleman. What about that? I thoroughly enjoyed that interview with Tom. I hope you enjoyed it just as much. There is some gold there. Go over to willitblend.com and have a look at the madness and mayhem Tom creates with his blenders. But, whilst there's a massive amount of humour and entertainment there is also brilliant marketing strategy, as Tom revealed. I remember a creative director in an advertising agency I once worked in saying to me, in fact, I went up to him, his name was Blackers, and I said, Blackers, I've just been put on a big piece of business that was spending millions and millions of dollars a year on their advertising, and I was kind of sort of shitting myself, to tell you the truth. And I sort of went up to Blackers and said, Blackers, what's the advertising first and foremost got to do? Because this is serious stuff. We're spending lots of money. The client wants to sell lots of products. And you know what his response was? Tim, it's got to entertain. First and foremost, advertising, marketing, communication has got to entertain in order to get the buyer's attention. And once you've got the attention, then the sell can kick in. And that's exactly what Tom is doing with Will It Blend. Go and have a look, guys. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's absolutely worth it. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I have got Sam Kavanagh, who is the national executive producer of the Oz Stereo Network, the biggest radio network in the country. And we talk about idea creation, social media, and Sammy has just kind of coined this phrase of turning his listeners into raving fans. And we talk about how that applies to small businesses, how we can take our customers into being raving fans. Great interview. He gives a lot, as all my guests do. Guys, enough. Have a great week. Remember, marketing is everything. Everything is marketing, and may your marketing be the best marketing. See ya.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.